Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. And yes, we are going ahead and getting back to our Social Security and Supplemental Security Income series. We're going to be covering the Social Security Administration is reducing its spending. Here's how it will affect your benefits. We're going to be going over that in a moment, but first, brief disclaimers. Every single article, video, or link that we go over during our series on Social Security, you're going to find right there up in the description box for you with some hopefully helpful labels above them so you know exactly what you are clicking on when you pull them up, just in case you want to do a little bit of research on your own. Trigger warnings. Alright, folks, we do have this channel marked not for kids for a reason. We do use profanity, and some of the topics we go through on here are pretty dark topics. So, if you have kids that are 16 or younger and are watching this, parental supervision is very much advised. Another trigger warning. If you are gung-ho MAGA, if you are gung-ho Democrat, you will be offended. Because I, on this channel, do not filter myself at all. And quite frankly, I'm like the epitome of that one skit. I don't remember if it was American Dad or Family Guy, but it's the two kids arguing and the dad just saying, look, you're both just awful. Yeah, that would be me. I am the embodiment, the walking, talking embodiment of that one scene. And I don't want to hear any arguments from either side as regards to why. Take a long look at how both sides have dropped the ball every single time it has counted in regards to disabled people. How many times they use us as their own personal props and photo ops during campaign season to give us token little nothings here and there, and never coming back to address the, again, issues we brought up when they were campaigning until they need to use us again. And yes, it's both sides. I am more aware of the fact that MAGA is currently trying to burn my country down in front of my eyes. Me, an army brat who has multiple generations of family members who have served in our military, whose ancestors helped found this country. Okay? I'm aware of what they're doing. I'm aware of every single attack, and I do mean every single attack in regards to us disabled folks across the board as soon as it's happening. I'm also aware that Massachusetts is one of the most progressive states in the Union. They are like dyed blue. And yet, in spite numerous times, those of us in the disability rights communities have reached out, emailed, called, showed up at the office of Democrats as well as Republicans out in that area, they still do nothing to finally put to an end the torture of abuse by means of a human shock collar going on at the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center. I have my reasons for being disgusted with both sides. So, if that's going to offend you all, it will not hurt my feelings. if you pause and stop this video right now, but I do still ask you to go ahead and take a peek inside the description box anyway to learn a little bit more on these topics, because helping those who are the most vulnerable right now is a hell of a lot more important than my own ego. Alright. To the Social Security Administration article before I take you all any further into left field. This is by Elizabeth Guevara. It was just March the 13th when they wrote this. Okay, so key takeaways, the bullet points. The Social Security Administration plans to cut or avoid spending $800 million this fiscal year, and plans to reduce its workforce by more than 12%. Experts said these budget cuts could make it harder for beneficiaries to contact Social Security and could disrupt benefits. If beneficiaries cannot contact a Social Security office in a timely manner, they could go without benefits for several months. Okay, so we've gone over this a little bit already. I'm just double checking to see if this is something we've already read. Yep, it looks like it. There we are. So, how it will affect your benefits. Budget cuts could prevent some beneficiaries from accessing their benefits in a timely manner, Weir said. As of April 2024, an initial disability determination took 8 months, and the average hold time was nearly 40 minutes, according to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, a nonpartisan research and policy institute. They're not reducing the amount of retirement benefits or survivor benefits or disability per se, Weir said. But if you can't get them in time, you're losing that month or 2 months or 3 months. So everybody who comes up to me and starts telling me that this is all a hoax, nobody's losing anything. Yes, they are. They're saying it right here. Less staff makes it a bit more difficult to just above it, folks. It's mine.
Sure, it's not mine, because I just got a text stating my thing had just been delivered. That's fine.
Still doing the video. Excuse me, folks. Excuse Paul, that was a brief delivery, apparently for him. So, where were we? Yes. But they're not reducing the amount of retirement benefits or survivor benefits, disability per se. But if you can't get them in time, you're losing that month to 2 months or 3 months. So what I was saying is when you lose staff, it makes it that much harder to get things out on time. That pushes back how many people you have to be able to take care of getting that money out to the beneficiaries who need it. Because less people. And it puts more pressure on the skeleton crew that remains. One can only go so fast, folks. But let me go again and continue to read here. In another example, the SSA recently updated a policy so that beneficiaries' checks can be withheld if they receive overpayments. Reduced offices and workers could mean it will be harder and take longer to fix an overpayment situation or get beneficiaries into a repayment plan. I can't even count how many times back in the day when I was on supplemental security income that I would be put in the red buy Social Security because I went over the limit of $900. $900 was the highest amount of money I was supposed to ever have in my bank account at any time. Anything over that, then the Social Security would take that out. Anything above 900 they would yank. Sometimes they would yank too fast and bills would come through at the same time. You want to talk about stress? Just saying. So, it makes it longer and harder to get a human on the phone to take care of any issue in regards to overpayment. When you've got elderly folks, they're on pensions. It really is from check to check to check for them. We're not all billionaires and millionaires. We can't all be my Uncle Wayne. Okay? For them to miss a Social Security check is literally could be life or death for them. Okay? We are not a whole bunch of people where we all have money saved back. Have you all seen the economy for over the last 6 years? You believe any of us who are actually the working public here has any real savings actually left? Anything that we could use to kind of just fill up until the monthly check comes through? Because that's not how it works. In fact, if we had access to something to be able to do that, we probably wouldn't be. You get where I'm going, right? It's ridiculous. Let's go ahead and continue here. Increased wait times will particularly hurt those who rely on Social Security benefits for most of their income, we're said. For those over 65, 12% of men and 15% of women rely on Social Security benefits for 90% or more of their income, according to the recent fact sheet from SSI that uses 2015 data. So, you know it's climbed higher since then, right? Right? Because we've got the baby boomers that they're getting older. And that number is going to climb, which is why I know they want to take a chainsaw to Social Security and Medicaid, but they're not comprehending how all of this works and who it's going to impact. I need some of you Republicans to start remember what living in reality actually is like, what living paycheck to paycheck is like, what not having somebody else line your savings account is like. And think about if you were in this situation, how that would have affected you. Have you ever had that moment in your life where the next check was the difference between eviction or having a continued roof to live under? Because if you have that experience, you need to sit back and remember it. Maybe then you can understand why people can't sit around and wait for their Social Security checks to come when they're elderly. They don't have a stash. We haven't been able to have a stash, and people who do have life savings have had to drain them because the inflation is swallowing our savings accounts. There is nothing else for those folks to fall back on. What is there not to get? Let me continue. You'll eventually get your money. And that's fine for those people that can float their rent and mortgage and food and electric bill for a month, 2 months, or 3 months, Weir said. Yeah, but we don't live in that world now, do we? We've had individuals like myself, as apartment dwellers, if you will, who I've always considered myself kind of on the lower end of the working class, right? So, I don't have a house, I have a very nice apartment. I don't have a car, but I have access to good public transportation. Yeah, on the low end of the working class, right? Someone like me, multiple people like me, due to inflation, due to job loss, have lost their homes. Specifically because they are working paycheck to paycheck. There is no buffer zone. And because folks continue to refuse to raise hourly rates in spite of everything else, rent, utilities, food, gas goes sky high, and your benefits are not adjusting with all the payment hikes. Like, what savings are you even talking about that folks with disabilities can wait on in between now and getting a check eventually? Eventually! Of all the things, you may agree with Trump that there's just fraud all over the place. You're not correct. There is some fraud. There's fraud everywhere. Jump on a website sometime. But it's not on the scale that the GOP keep insisting that it is. Okay? And if that were the point, you would bring in specialists to investigate each case individually to find out who those folks are and take care of it appropriately. You wouldn't literally be applying a hack shit to the money bag marked Social Security. Because that's what you're doing. You're essentially taking that bag of Social Security out of there, grabbing gasoline, throwing it on the bag, and then lighting it on fire and forcing us to watch. Okay? That's what we're doing here. And it's going to cut into some of the most vulnerable individuals on a day-to-day scale that I even want to think about. Either go after, really investigate, and find out who the scammers are if they are such a huge problem, instead of using a hacksaw, just overall grabbing money out of a federal department, leaving the individuals who really need access to this on freaking life support. We're going to go ahead and close on that one, folks. And I wanted to go over this part of the article again because I was asked, but no, it's not going to affect those of us who actually need it. They're not going to touch our money. The reality is they can't make the cuts without touching your money. That's why I've been going over this. That's what you need to understand. In spite of what they tell you on Fox News, you cannot make the cuts that the GOP is currently insisting on right now without cutting into everyone's money. Okay? That's what we've been trying to tell you all. Doing it the right way wouldn't leave so many older people fearing about what's going to happen. Having people literally saying, you'll eventually get your money. What have we become? What have we become? We allow these individuals to sit here and lie to us, and nobody fact checks them. No one's telling Trump that there's no way to cut that kind of money out of SSI without it affecting everyone. Because it isn't targeted. It's not something, this person is fraudulent. We did this, this, and this, money restored. You hear what I'm saying? Yeah. We can't blindly trust these people. No matter how many times they try to reassure us, that's not what's happening. These articles here, if you just read them, you'll see that there's no way those cuts are not going to impact everyone across the board. That's just not how it works. So, folks, click on these links. Go to ARC's website. They have templates. They have phone numbers for all the different representatives. If you live near DC, near your own state capital or a major city, go out there and protest. And if they're actually not going to touch it, then make them show us in a detailed manner how they're going to handle the so-called overwhelming fraud without depriving everyone else from the very resources they need to continue to survive. I'm gonna go ahead and close out on that one. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few we do tend to get removed from time to time. So if you could, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, please don't forget to hit the comments. I appreciate your time, and as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. I will see you all tomorrow when we will be updating the Down the Rabbit Hole series. So you should be seeing that coming up soon. Saturday, we are going to be updating the Medicaid series, and on Sunday, we're going to go ahead and move forward with the new series on HUD. I hope you all have a wonderful day now. Bye-bye.